Welcome to the Good Morning from the Chicken Coop podcast with Kim Johnson, your creative strategist and master mindset coach. Filled with inspiration, distinctions, perspectives, and possibilities, we help you to cultivate a mindset that leads you to create the best version of yourself you could ever imagine. Join Kim every morning from one of her favorite happy places, her chicken coop, along with all her chickens.
Hey, good morning, everybody, from the chicken coop with lots of little babies. We're very excited about the babies. So today we are talking about the process of surrendering. And I know a lot of us just don't like that word, right? So I have to surrender. Means we've been in a fight, means we have to give something up. Doesn't mean we feel great about it. And there's another flip side to this coin. You don't have to have that point of view of it. So for me, if I feel like I have to surrender, I've taken it to the point where, and at least my definition of it is, and I think it's always helpful to hear other people's definitions so that it can help you. My definition of surrendering is I've put myself in a state of realizing that what I am attempting to do is, at the rate at which I'm doing it most likely, is not healthy for me. And that I'm trying to maybe take on too much. I've put too much on my plate. I have said that, there's just no way that I can continue to feel good and do stuff at this rate for this period of time. Part of my process of learning this technique of surrender in this way came from traveling all over the world and working. And I was doing it at such a pace that while it was very glamorous on the outside, and it seemed very glamorous on the outside, on the inside, it was really too much. I was spending too much time away from my family. We were spending time away from each other. My husband was going to one part of the world. I was going to another part of the world. Our kids were being taken care of by our amazing nanny that came in to help us all the time. And God, I loved her like she was my daughter, but it was just not working. And no amount of money was worth the takeaway that we were having happen. So I had to make a decision and surrender to the fact that this was just not right. There was something not right. And here's the key to this. When this comes up, and it's happened multiple times in my life, it's happened so many times, it's crazy. But they're easy to miss, and this is why I wanted to talk to you about this, because there's this part of your head, your brain is pushing you, because there's always this conversation about doing more, being more. Get out there and push. And it's from a very big of energy. And it's not always healthy. In fact, it's often not healthy when you do it long term. It can be a short-term push, sure. Any of us can do something for a day, a couple of days, a week. But when it becomes months and years of doing something, it's physically and emotionally and spiritually not right for us if we feel that there's a nagging, tapping, like just a little point that just keeps poking at you, that little poke inside that says, oh God, I'm so exhausted, or I just can't do this, or this just doesn't feel right, or I just don't know when this is going to come to an end. That's the point I'm talking about. That's the point of looking at surrendering and saying, you know what, something's not right, and I have to examine this. Now, truthfully, when you go to do this, you've probably been doing whatever this is for so long that it feels like, I can't give this up. What else am I going to do? And that's just because, again, you've heard me say before, the mind that created the problem is not the mind that can solve the problem, as Einstein told us. So you have to change your point of view. You have to change your perspective. You have to look at something and say, okay, how else can I think of this? What's another way that I can have a solution? What can I leverage out? What can I change? And I'm going to go back to my example of traveling, because for me, this was a big deal. I had been doing it for a long time. It was part of my world. It was part of who I was. And I just didn't feel right about it. And I had to shift it. I had to change it. So in order to do that, in order to sincerely make that shift and make it work correctly for me, I had to think about it differently. And I had to just say, okay, honestly, this doesn't work for our family. This doesn't work for where we are right now. And we have to acknowledge that fact and change the way we see it. Are we giving up something? Are we losing something? No, we're just transitioning something. We're changing it to something different. We're going to have a different way to live now. We're going to have a different lifestyle. So we went from traveling all over the world and being gone to rarely going anywhere and being on our farm all the time. And it has been a tremendous, wonderful respite and transition for us. And it would have never happened if we hadn't surrendered and just said, you know what, this is not working. And we stopped trying to fight the conditions and make it better and, look at it and keep saying, well, we could change this, or we could do this, or we could do this, to just try to force something to happen. Instead of forcing it, it was just like, no, we just have to accept the fact and surrender. This is no longer correct. This is no longer the way we want it to be. And then everything else started to fall into place. So I'm going to challenge you today to look and see, are there spots in your life that you just have to surrender and you just have to say, look, I can't do this anymore. This is not right for me. And I need to think differently and I need to see differently, and then I will be able to shift and make something different happen. So take a look, figure out where is your surrender, and take care of yourselves, and have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow.